Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Abhishek Mukhopadhyay and with me is Reshma Tiwari with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi launches 1 lakh crore rupee Agriculture Infrastructure Fund under PM Kisan scheme for agri-entrepreneurs, startups, post-harvest management and nurture farm assets. PM says the objective of making farmers self-sufficient has been fulfilled. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh says import embargo on 101 items to be introduced to boost indigenization of defence production. Number of COVID-19 recoveries more than doubled. The number of active cases, recovery rate improves to 68.78%. 9 people killed in a fire accident at hotel-turned-COVID care centre in Vijayawada, Andhra Pradesh. And Mahinda Rajapaksa takes oath as the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka for the 4th time. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today launched a financing facility of 1 lakh crore rupees under the Agriculture Infrastructure Fund for agri-entrepreneurs, startups, agri-tech players and farmer groups for post-harvest management and nurturing farm assets. Only 30 days after Cabinet formally approved the scheme, the first sanction of over 1,000 crore rupees was made to over 2,280 farmer societies. The event was conducted through video conference and was attended by lakhs of farmers. Speaking on the occasion, the Prime Minister said that he was satisfied because the objective of making farmers self-sufficient is been fulfilled.
इस योजना का जो लक्ष्य था वो लक्ष्य हासिल हो रहा। हर किसान परिवार तक सीधी मदद पहुंचे और जरूरत के समय पहुंचे, इस उद्देश्य में ये योजना सफल रही है। बीते 1.5 साल में इस योजना के माध्यम से 75,000 करोड़ रुपए सीधे किसानों के बैंक खाते में जमा हो चुके। इसमें से 22,000 करोड़ रुपए था कोरोना के कारण लगे लॉकडाउन के दौरान किसानों तक पहुंचाए गए।
Mr. Modi said 17,000 crores of PM Kisan Samman Nidhi have been deposited into bank accounts of 8.5 crore farmers with no middleman or commission. The fund went straight to farmers. The Prime Minister said India has a huge opportunity to invest in post-harvest management solutions and build a global presence in areas such as organic and fortified foods.
देश में कृषि से जुड़ी सुविधाएं तैयार करने के लिए 1 लाख करोड़ रुपए का विशेष फंड लॉन्च किया गया है। इससे गांवों-गांवों में बेहतर भंडारण, आधुनिक कोल्ड स्टोरेज की चेन तैयार करने में मदद मिलेगी और गांव में रोजगार के अनेक अवसर तैयार होंगे। इसके साथ-साथ किसान सम्मान निधि के 17,000 करोड़ रुपए सीधे 8.5 करोड़ किसानों के खाते में जमा हो गए।
The Prime Minister said this fund will also provide debt financing facility to farmers. He said for post-harvest management infrastructure and community farming assets, the fund will act as a catalyst. The Prime Minister also appealed to farmers to use fertilizers in lesser quantity.
हमें हमारी धरती माता को भी बचाना है। जिस प्रकार से हम आंख बंद करके अनाप शनाप यूरिया का उपयोग करते हैं, पूरी धरती माता हमारी तबाह हो रही है। तो हमारे किसान वो ये तय कर सकते हैं कि अभी अगर वो 5 थैली यूरिया लेते हैं तो आगे से 3 थैली में ही चलाएंगे। अभी वो 6 थैली लेते हैं तो आगे से 4 थैली में ही चलाएंगे। उसका पैसा बचेगा, ये हमारी धरती माता बचेगी और किसान का, बच्चों का भविष्य उज्जवल हो जाएगा।
Prime Minister expressed his satisfaction with the pace of implementation of the PM Kisan scheme. He also noted that the scale of the program is so large that the funds released today have reached more people than the entire population of several countries taken together. Mr. Modi also interacted with Kisans of Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and Karnataka. He also congratulated state governments for playing an important role in the implementation of the schemes and assisting farmers through the entire process. Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar was also present on the occasion. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated a Rashtriya Swachhata Kendra in New Delhi yesterday. The Prime Minister also announced a week-long campaign till 15th August to free India of garbage. Speaking on the occasion, he said the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan has boosted the self-confidence and willpower of every countryman and its impact is visible on the life of the poor. The Prime Minister said Swachh Bharat Abhiyan has brought about a permanent change in a social consciousness and behavior.
स्वच्छ भारत अभियान ने हर देशवासी के आत्मविश्वास और आत्मबल को एक नई ऊर्जा दी है, नई ताकत दी है, उसको बढ़ाया है। लेकिन इसका सबसे अधिक लाभ देश के गरीब के जीवन पर दिख रहा है। स्वच्छ भारत अभियान से हमारी सामाजिक चेतना समाज के रूप में हमारे आचार व्यवहार में भी स्थायी परिवर्तन आया है।
Mr. Modi said cleanliness drive has been a big support in fight against coronavirus. He said in the last few years, lakhs of people across the country who are inspired by Mahatma Gandhi have made Swachh Bharat mission a goal of their lives. He said this is the reason that government has been able to provide toilet facility to over 60 crore people in just 60 months. Mr. Modi said Rashtriya Swachhata Kendra is a tribute to Mahatma Gandhi's efforts towards cleanliness. He said a comprehensive Quit India campaign is going on against poverty, garbage, compulsion of open defecation, compulsion of wandering for fetching water.
The Ministry of Defence is now ready for a big push to Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said his ministry will introduce import embargo on 101 items beyond given timeline to boost indigenization of defence production. Mr. Singh said Prime Minister has given a clarion call for a self-reliant India based on the 5 pillars: economy, infrastructure, system, demography and demand. Defence Minister in a series of tweets said, taking cue from the call of the PM, the Ministry of Defence has prepared a list of 101 items for which there would be an embargo on the import beyond the timeline indicated against them. Mr. Singh said this is a big step towards self-reliance in defence. He said this decision will offer a great opportunity to the Indian defence industry to manufacture the items in the embargoed list by using their own design and development capabilities. Mr. Singh said the defence industry of the country can also adopt the technologies designed and developed by DRDO to meet the requirements of the armed forces. The Defence Minister estimated that contracts worth almost 4 lakh crore rupees will be placed upon the domestic industry within the next 6 to 7 years. Mr. Singh said items worth almost 1,30,000 crore rupees each are anticipated for the Army and the Air Force, while items worth almost 1,40,000 crore rupees are anticipated by the Navy. Defence Minister said the embargo on imports is planned to be progressively implemented between 2020 to 2024. He informed the aim is to apprise the Indian defence industry about the anticipated requirements of the armed forces so that they are better prepared to realise the goal of indigenization. At least 9 people have been killed and several others injured after a fire broke out in a hotel turned COVID-19 care centre at Vijayawada in Andhra Pradesh this morning. About 30 COVID-19 patients were being treated at the time of the incident. About 10 paramedical staff were assisting them. Electric short circuit is said to be the cause of fire according to preliminary reports. Most of the deaths have taken place due to suffocation from smoke, as COVID-19 patients were already suffering with respiratory problems and thick smoke further aggravated their conditions. The rescued COVID patients have been shifted to nearby COVID centres. Condition of 2 more persons is said to be critical. NDRF teams have joined the local authorities, fire and police department officials in the relief operations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi assured Andhra Chief Minister Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy of all possible support. Expressing his anguish at the fire, Mr. Modi said his thoughts are with those who have lost their loved ones. Prime Minister spoke to Mr. Reddy and discussed the prevailing situation.
President Ramnath Kovind and Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu have expressed grief at the loss of lives in Vijayawada fire mishap. The President said he is shocked after hearing the tragic news. He said his thoughts and prayers are with the bereaved families. Mr. Kovind wished speedy recovery for the injured. Expressing condolences to the bereaved families, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu prayed for the speedy recovery of the injured. Detailed investigations began on the flight crash that occurred at Karipur Airport in Kerala on Friday. A special team comprising of 30 police officials has started the probe. Meanwhile, 18 people, including 14 adults and 4 kids, have lost their lives in the accident. The condition of the 14 critically injured passengers remains serious and 3 people are in ventilators. Authorities informed that the condition of 101 persons remains stable. Air India Express flight that was part of the Vande Bharat mission carrying 190 passengers, including crew from Dubai, skidded off the tabletop runway while landing at Karipur Airport in Kozhikode in Kerala on Friday evening at 7:41 p.m. The plane, after skidding from the tabletop runway, crash-landed nearly 35 feet below and split into two pieces.
With a record single-day spike of 64,399 cases, India's COVID-19 tally has crossed 21 lakh, while the death toll climbed to 43,379 with 861 more fatalities. Health Ministry said the number of recoveries too surged to 14 lakh 80,884. A record 53,879 more people recuperated in the past 24 hours, taking the recovery rate to 68.78%. The case fatality rate has dropped further to 2.01% according to ministry data. There are 6,28,747 cases, comprising 29.20% of the total caseload in the country. This is the third consecutive day that the COVID-19 cases have increased by more than 60,000. India had crossed the 20 lakh mark on Friday. According to ICMR, as many as 7,19,364 samples were tested yesterday, which is the highest in a day so far. In Tripura, 4 more persons, including 2 Jawans from Border Security Force, have lost their lives due to COVID-19 in the last 48 hours. So far, 40 persons have lost their lives due to COVID in the state. Out of 1,97,734 COVID tests, 6,164 samples have been found positive. Currently, the state has 1,876 active cases. The positivity rate stands at 3.04%. Test rate per million is 49,463, while the recovery rate stands at 69.61% and mortality rate is 0.67%.
In the midst of the COVID pandemic, where the field of education is severely hampered, the Maharashtra government is attempting to provide some relief to the students studying abroad. The state government has said that it will pay education fee and subsistence allowance to students from the state studying in foreign universities for 2019-20 and 2020-21. A report from our Mumbai correspondent.
The Maharashtra government has said that those students who are taking education in foreign universities for academic year 2020-21 through online classes and also those who have taken education in 2019-20, such students will be given educational fees as well as subsistence allowance. This particular financial benefit will be given for the period between February to September 2020. Also, those students who were selected to study in foreign universities in 2019-20 and at present taking education by attending online classes for first semester, that is for academic year 2020-21, by staying in India itself will be given educational fees as permissible. Besides, under present circumstances, those students who are willing to come back to India will be given subsistence allowance till the date of their return. In addition to this, the government has clarified that it will reimburse these students the to and fro air ticket fare as per the rule. Kunal Shinde, AIR News, Mumbai.
In a series Experts Speak on All India Radio, we bring you the views of leading medical experts on COVID-19. Talking to AIR News, Director AIMS Delhi, Dr. Randeep Guleria, advised people to aggressively follow social distancing and hand hygiene norms to check the spread of COVID-19 infection.
Regular hand washing should be done. So those who in an area where there is coronavirus infection should wash their hands regularly. You should avoid going to crowded places because if someone in the crowd is coughing and has the infection, he can spread to others in the crowded places. And if any member in your family has fever, cough, cold, he should stay at home and avoid going out so that he doesn't spread the infection to other people in the community.
Talking to AIR News, Dr. Uma Kumar, Head of Rheumatology Department AIMS, suggested to the people to follow social distancing, hand hygiene and cough etiquettes.
इसको ट्रीटमेंट कह लें या फिर प्रिवेंशन कह लें, बचाव कह लें, जो तरीके हैं जिनसे ये कंट्रोल में पाया जा सकता है वो है सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग, रेस्पिरेटरी हाइजीन और या फिर कॉफ एटिकेट्स बोल देते हैं जिसमें खांसते और छींकते वक्त मुंह को कवर करना है और हैंड हाइजीन, अपने हाथों को बहुत फ्रीक्वेंटली वॉश करना है.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi launches 1 lakh crore rupee Agriculture Infrastructure Fund under PM Kisan scheme for agri-entrepreneurs, startups, post-harvest management and nurture farm assets. PM says the objective of making farmers self-sufficient is being fulfilled. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh says import embargo on 101 items to be introduced to boost indigenization of defence production. Number of COVID-19 recoveries more than doubled the number of active cases. Recovery rate improves to 68.78%. 9 people killed in a fire accident at hotel-turned-COVID care centre in Vijayawada, Andhra Pradesh. And Mahinda Rajapaksa takes oath as the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka for the 4th time. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
Prime Minister will inaugurate and dedicate the submarine optical fibre cable OFC connecting Chennai and Port Blair to the nation tomorrow through video conferencing. The submarine cable will also connect Port Blair to Swaraj Dweep, Little Andaman, Car Nicobar, Kamorta, Great Nicobar, Long Island and Rangat. This connectivity will enable delivery of faster and more reliable mobile and landline telecom services to Andaman and Nicobar Islands at par with other parts of India. At present, Andaman and Nicobar Islands have very weak telecom systems that hamper communications with mainland and with the islands. More from a Chennai correspondent.
The Union Territory of Andaman and Nicobar is a long chain of scenic emerald islands. Its dense green cover, pristine beaches and exotic marine species attract thousands of footfalls of tourists. But the internet and telecom connectivity remained a major area of concern for the islanders and the visitors alike. It is going to be a thing of the past, as high-speed connectivity will be ensured by the submarine cable system, says the BSNL Chief General Manager in Chennai, Munindranath, who led the team who executed the project.
Under this project, 2,300 kilometers of submarine cable is laid, connecting 8 islands of Andaman and Nicobar with mainland at Chennai. Launch of this project, the people of Andaman and Nicobar will have telecom facility on par with the rest of the nation.
Andaman and Nicobar has been served by satellite transponders so far, but they were hugely inadequate to cover the entire length of the archipelago. Jai Singh, AIR News, Chennai.
In the run-up to the 74th Independence Day celebrations, we bring you today a special story about commerce and industry in the country. Government's tireless efforts and bold policy reforms have changed the world's perspective towards India. Through path-breaking decisions and special production-linked incentive schemes, government has been able to improve the country's ranking substantially in terms of ease of doing business. India is poised to become a world leader in terms of electronic manufacturing, especially in the field of mobile phone manufacturing. The forex reserves have touched new heights even in the midst of a global pandemic due to impetus on domestic manufacturing while ensuring a robust global supply chain. I report.
Make in India, made for the world has been the key driver of major government policy reforms in the past few years. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government offers the world business community a rare combination of a strong and stable, democratically elected government supplemented with availability of huge, skilled and semi-skilled human resources. With an objective of reducing excessive dependence on non-essential imports, duty was increased on more than 100 items and restrictions were imposed on several others. Decisions like hiking customs duty on bamboo produce are creating launch pads for small local suppliers and manufacturers. FDI inflow in the country grew by over 18% in the last fiscal to reach around $73 billion. To facilitate investment, 100% FDI under automatic route was permitted for coal mining activities and contract manufacturing. Anand Chaturvedi, AIR News, Delhi.
Moving on to our special segment on Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. During the difficult times of COVID-19 pandemic, India has sustained world food supply chain and continued to export. The agricultural export during March-June 2020 increased by 23.24% compared to last year. Agriculture sector grew by 2.9% during 2019-20 as against 2.74% in 2018-19. The commodities which witnessed positive growth in exports in April to June 2020 when compared with same period last year are tur, wheat, Bengal gram and groundnut oil. Agri-exports is expected to increase from $40 billion to $60 billion by 2022. There has been a high yield in agricultural production despite COVID. Production of food grains is expected to be 295.67 million tons, which is an increase of 3.67%. District Administration of Udhampur in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir has identified 424 works under Pradhan Mantri Adarsh Gram Yojana for execution in 31 villages having maximum scheduled caste population. AIR Jammu correspondent reports that under the scheme, 20 lakh rupees is earmarked for each village for development in 6 identified sectors. 31 villages in 12 blocks of the district where scheduled caste population is maximum have been selected for the implementation of PMAGY. In this context, need-based assessment is in consultation with Village Convergence Committee headed by Sarpanch of the concerned village has been done, and 424 works under designated sectors have been identified for execution in these villages. DDC Udhampur, Dr. Piyush Singla, has directed the officers of RDD, Social Welfare, Jal Shakti, Health, PWD and other departments to prioritize the work with high outcome and fill the infrastructural gaps in the identified villages.
In Uttar Pradesh, IIT Kanpur has developed indigenous seed balls named BEEG, Biocompost Enriched Eco-Friendly Globule, which will help people and farmers in plantation with safety in corona times and will also provide employment to people. The BEEG is developed in collaboration with Agnes Waste Management Private Limited, startup at IIT Kanpur. More from our Lucknow correspondent.
The seed balls are comprised of indigenous variety of seeds, compost, and there is no need of digging pit for planting saplings. These seed balls are to be thrown at aimed places and they will germinate when come into contact of water. IIT Professor J. Raj Kumar said, bees is enriched with the right ingredients and seeds to early germinate and are the best way to utilize monsoon and plant as many as trees as possible without risking lives by social gathering during COVID-19.
BEEG stands for Biocompost Enriched Eco-Friendly Globule. So BEEG stands for soil-based seed balls. We have started working with a startup company at IIT Kanpur.
MS Yadav, AIR News, Lucknow.
In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, terrorists fired upon a BJP activist in central Kashmir's Budgam district today. Police sources said that the terrorists fired upon the BJP activist, identified as 38-year-old Abdul Hamid Nazar, near the railway station when he was on a morning walk. He has received bullet injuries in his abdomen and has been rushed to SMHS Hospital, Srinagar, in a critical condition. The security forces have cordoned off the area and had launched a massive manhunt to nab the assailants.
In Sri Lanka, Mahinda Rajapaksa took oath as the Prime Minister for the 4th time this morning. He was administered oath by his younger brother and President Gotabaya Rajapaksa at a ceremony held at Kelaniya Mahaviharya near Colombo. More from our Colombo correspondent.
Today's swearing in as Prime Minister marks the return of Rajapaksa family at the helm of Sri Lankan politics. Mahinda Rajapaksa has completed 50 years in politics a month ago and he had a perfect gift in waiting with his landslide victory at elections. The two-time president is remembered for ending the 3-decade-long LTTE conflict in 2009. However, he had lost the 2015 presidential election amidst accusations of nepotism and corruption. He was planning a comeback since then and his party's victory at 2018 local body elections signaled a shift, and his brother Gotabaya's victory at last year's presidential election cemented his return. The main challenge before the government will be to tackle economic slowdown and manage the debt burden amidst dwindling foreign exchange reserves. He has also promised a new constitution for the country and provisions of it will be keenly watched in coming months. Santosh Kumar for AIR News from Colombo.
The major dams in Tamil Nadu are witnessing a huge inflow as the southwest monsoon is active. The water inflow into the Stanley Reservoir at Mettur this morning has been observed to be a whopping 1 lakh cusecs, which is expected to go up even further by this evening. Its water level rose by 11 feet in just 2 days. The reservoir primarily caters to the agricultural needs of the state's granary, the Delta districts. Meanwhile, IMD Chennai has said 16 districts in Tamil Nadu are set to witness heavy to very heavy rain in the next 24 hours. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Edappadi Palaniswamy has spoken to his Kerala counterpart Pinarayi Vijayan this noon over the tragic death of several people in the Munnar landslide. Over 29 people are reported dead in the landslide, and it is feared that the toll may climb up further. Most of the victims are said to be skilled workers from Tamil Nadu who were employed in the tea estates at Munnar. According to reports, the relatives of the victims in Tamil Nadu could not reach the place for want of e-pass for interstate travel. In this backdrop, Mr. Edapadi Palaniswamy had tweeted that he has spoken to his Kerala counterpart and had offered all necessary support by Tamil Nadu state in the ongoing rescue and relief efforts.
In Kerala, as 3 more dead bodies were recovered from the massive landslide hit region in Rajamala in Idukki district today, the death toll in the mishap has gone up to 29. A report.
Rescue and search operations are ongoing in the region. Over 30 people are reportedly still missing in the landslide hit region. Adverse weather is affecting the search operations. Meanwhile, heavy rain is continuing to lash across Kerala. Red alert is issued today in Alappuzha, Kannur, Kozhikode, Wayanad, Malappuram, Idukki and Kasaragod districts. Met Department predicts very heavy rain in coming days, especially in the next 24 hours. Hilly regions are in high alert. Many low-lying regions are flooded across the state, mainly in Alappuzha, Kottayam and Pathanamthitta districts. Major rivers including Pamba, Achankovil, Manimala, Meenachal, etc. are flooding. 2 people had reportedly died in Kuttanad region. As water level in Mullaperiyar Dam is rising, high alert is issued in the nearby regions of Periyar River. Shutters of major dams are raised and 24/7 monitoring of water levels in all dams across the state is being done. As sea remains rough, fisherfolks are warned from venturing into the sea. Mayusha for AR News from Thiruvananthapuram.
Several rivers in coastal Karnataka are at spate as people are shifted to safer locations and relief efforts are on to clear roads and bridges blocked by landslides. Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yadurappa sought details on the rain and flood situation in the state from Chief Secretary and Additional Chief Secretary today. Union Minister Prahlad Joshi visited the family of a girl who had slipped into the swelling river and died at Kalaghatgi Taluk of Dharwad district. He handed over an ex gratia payment of 5 lakh rupees to the family members. Chikmagalur district in charge Minister C.T. Ravi visited Charmudi Ghat today and inspected the road clearing work. India Meteorological Department has warned of heavy rain across northwest region to the next 2 days. It has issued an orange category warning for parts of northwestern India, which means disaster management authorities should be prepared to avert any possible disasters. IMD said that the monsoon trough is likely to shift northwards and cause heavy to very heavy rain in Uttarakhand, Haryana, Chandigarh, Delhi, western Uttar Pradesh and eastern Rajasthan.
Now let us take a look at today's weather update. The national capital Delhi may witness thunderstorm with rain. The minimum temperature was recorded at 27 degrees Celsius and maximum will be around 35 degrees. Mumbai will experience generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. The minimum temperature was 25 degrees Celsius and the maximum temperature will be around 31 degrees. Chennai will have a generally cloudy sky with rain. With light rain, the temperature will hover between 24 and 35 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. The minimum temperature in the metropolis was 27 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 33 degrees. On to the north, in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature in Jammu was 25 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 35 degrees Celsius. The city will have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. In Srinagar, the minimum temperature was 21 degrees, while the maximum will be around 35 degrees Celsius. Ladakh will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. The temperature will hover between 18 and 35 degrees Celsius. In Gilgit, the temperature will hover between 19 and 40 degrees Celsius. In Muzaffarabad, there will be generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. The News Services Division of All India Radio in its bilingual live phone-in program tonight will bring a special discussion on COVID-19. Rheumatologist in Sir Ganga Ram Hospital, Delhi, Dr. Lieutenant General Ved Chaturvedi will participate in the discussion. This can be heard on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi launches 1 lakh crore rupee Agriculture Infrastructure Fund under PM Kisan scheme for agri-entrepreneurs, startups, post-harvest management and nurture farm assets. PM says the objective of making farmers self-sufficient is been fulfilled. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh says import embargo on 101 items to be introduced to boost indigenization of defence production. Number of COVID-19 recoveries more than double the number of active cases. Recovery rate improves to 68.78%. And with that we end the Midday News.